Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw her. Good afternoon, everybody. This is December 4th, 2024. It is exactly 5 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Community Preservation Committee. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. And we have our first, going to the agenda, we have our first grant request presentations, and the first one is the Eastham Elementary School. We have Bill Crosby here, the principal, and Linda Burt, who has had an assortment of positions there and is involved now with the current presentation. So I'll let you
No, that's
do
great.
your thing.
Thank you so much. And I do want to just extend some gratitude to Linda, for all the work that she has done on this and for her role at Eastham Elementary School over the, how many years has it been? Probably
38.
38 years, yes. So it's been a great collaboration, and I'm going to do just a quick, give you some pictures and things of what we have done. So I really appreciate, the support and the money that we received last year. And so we have completed most of that. I guess we've used most of that money going forward here. So quick picture here just to show you the school. I don't know if you will notice, but we did have the school painted this past summer. So it's changed color a little bit, but it's all, nicely maintained. So let me just get rid of that.
You've got to tell us how that got that name. Lady Gaga, does she use it or?
Oh, the Gaga pit, that's yeah, it's interesting fact though, too. Her and I share a birthday, but yeah, it's an Israeli game actually, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure if that's where it came from. But you'll see the kids here and the arrow pointing to the resurfacing. It's that rubberized surface, for inside that Gaga pit.
It was mud or dust.
Yes.
Depending
yes.
on the weather.
Yes.
Now it's a beautiful surface.
Right. And nobody's getting hurt when they
Thanks
fall
to you
down.
people.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I understand it's very popular.
Very pricey too.
Oh, it's very popular.
Yeah.
Well, it's
And
pricey.
pricey too,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
So here's the big toy structure that, we've done some work to maintain. So, in different parts, repaired, worn out pieces and broken parts. So that work has been completed. And then you'll see also these playground chips. What do they call it? Is it 5-bar?
5-bar.
5-bar chips. So those have all been, replaced everywhere, in the playground.
We didn't feel that we wanted to go to the rubber surfacing.
I'm going to ask you to use.
We didn't feel like we wanted to go to a rubber surfacing on the old playground. In the future, if this gets replaced, then a new rubber surfacing will be put around it. But right now, we're just replacing parts on this playground.
Are you saying that because you're expecting to replace the equipment at some point down the road too? Is that why?
Maybe 5 or 6 years
Oh,
from
okay.
now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is inspected every year,
Mhm.
so I
Yeah, I
mean,
know.
it's still,
That's a
viable.
a state requirement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's viable. It's, so just obviously replacing some worn and broken parts. So it's still very functional.
Mhm.
But to take out those chips and to replace it with that rubberized, it'd be extremely expensive at this point.
Again, I had said to Linda in the beginning, don't worry about the expense. Get rid of those chips and put down rubberized surfacing.
Okay.
I mean, I know the chips are still handicap accessible, but I mean, it's just a maintenance headache for you guys too. If you go to the rubberized like we did back here, it just, it just solves a number of problems. I know it's outrageous. I mean,
Mhm.
back
It
here was
is.
$70,000, so.
The Gaga pit, when we had that put in, it was $20,000.
Yeah. Well,
For the surface, not the Gaga
You
pit.
could-
we
you
already
could- just
had
the
that, but
surface,
the
yeah.
You could
surface.
probably think that it's probably in question in the neighborhood of $100,000.
Yeah, for that.
But again, we're paying for it, so.
Mhm.
No, right. And that's, we appreciate that. I think just to compare, like Wellfleet just replaced their playground and they did the rubberized surface or whatever, but the
Yeah,
whole.
nobody puts wood chips anymore. Everybody goes
No,
to rubberized
right,
surfacing.
of course, yeah.
And I think the middle school's talking about doing a lot of replacement of their playground too
Right.
down there, and they're all doing rubberized.
Well, if that's,
everything.
something that, we.
I mean,
could
if you want to wait the
collaborate-
phase, if
well,
you've got
yeah.
another phase coming, phase 3, you want to wait for phase 3.
Mhm.
Well, it's just going to save you so much headaches, raking that all the time and,
Right.
and keeping it, level and stuff like that. It's,
Right.
I mean, we've gone through it, on our playgrounds for years and just,
Right.
bit the bullet and,
Okay.
There's that other surfacing you could do too, the rubber mats, like they have at Wiley Park.
Oh,
But-
yes.
but,
The ones
mean,
that fit together.
Yeah,
that-
yeah. I mean, really, the poured in place rubber is the best.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Just in comparison, I think that like with Wellfleet, they just replaced I think it was $450,000 to
Yeah.
just replace all the structure and everything,
We're not there yet.
No,
But that
we'll
would be
get
a lot
price
of,
on
I
that.
think it would be like fundraising and everything to
Right.
get a
To
new
totally
playground.
replace that
But our
structure.
playground doesn't need to be, the equipment does not need to be replaced right now. Is
Yeah,
it-
but
we just have to
when
keep
we
that.
did the rubberized surfacing out back, our
Mhm.
equipment was already.
Oh, it looks
was
beautiful.
there.
That's that's what I was,
Yeah,
just gonna
so-
ask.
and Then we came in and took the wood chips out and put the rubberized.
Get a price.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure
Mhm.
For phase 3.
for phase 3.
Yeah. Right.
Some new soccer nets that we
Yeah.
purchased, similar to the ones you have out back here. Again, chips replaced there. Do you want to speak a little bit to this? We're repairing this. We can't
So
replace.
the swings,
yeah.
the swings, we cannot replace what we have right there
I guess in that particular
to
spot.
be in that spot,
Mhm.
to be up to code now, because you need a wall space or a jump off space, they call it.
Mm.
When kids
When
are
you're
jumping off the
jumping off?
swings, you need 10 feet
Mm.
to jump off now by code, and we only have 8 feet.
Mm.
So if we replace this swing set here, we can only replace it with 2 bays instead of 4. Because of the way we have to shift it around and make it work. And
Anyway,
the kids use it all the kids use it every
Mhm,
day.
mhm.
So we really don't want to have to cut it in half.
What are your other options?
Go out in the field,
I'm sorry?
go out on the
Oh,
field.
go out.
Yes. But then we're taking our field away. Where the soccer
Mhm.
goals are,
Mhm.
where they play football and soccer and,
So that's not an option, really.
well, it's really not. So there are repairs that need to be done on this. The top bar on this section closest to us here swings back and forth
Mm.
when kids are swinging on it. So the bar has to be stabilized on
Mhm.
the top. If we want to keep this the way we have it right now. And we're replacing all the swing chains because all the plastic coating on them is coming off. So we bought new swing chain to put on all the swings.
That's part of phase 1, right? Because phase 2,
Actually, we bought that out of the elementary school budget
okay.
because that wasn't part of the plan to
Mhm.
begin with. I didn't want to spend money from the CPA that we did not ask you people for.
No, Oh, that's a good, that's a good decision.
Well, yes, so we're way below the amount that you gave us.
The 50,000.
Yes, but we didn't want to use that money to do things that we didn't ask for.
Mhm.
So,
Are you going to use all that 50,000?
no, actually, we have about 10,000 left,
Okay.
we could.
but we could,
Yes.
yes, but we could talk to you about that after we finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just to, to replace the pads on the hoops.
Yep.
Let's see, and then what else? So this preschool, right outside of kindergarten here. All the chips in there has been replaced, and this needs some repair, which is in phase 2.
Yes, well,
Or is that part of
actually,
phase 1?
right on the end of that, where you can see that little guy
here,
on the
yeah.
first picture there,
Where my cursor is there.
that's
yeah.
called a transfer module. That has to be replaced. It was part of the project, but they overlooked it, so they didn't include it and they didn't charge us for it, so I put it in, and any day now, they're gonna come and replace that. It's a stairway up to the next platform,
Mhm.
but it's all corroded and all the outer coating came off of it, and so we have it like tape on it.
Well, I visited the the playground a couple weeks ago, a couple weekends ago. And this is the area one of the areas I had some questions on because I saw green tape all over
Yeah,
various parts of that piece there.
yes, and that's why, because there's sharp edges on it,
Mhm.
because the coating came off, the
Mm.
outer coating came off, so.
Just rusted.
So that is going to be replaced.
Okay, that's
I'm talk-
part of phase 1.
Yes, right.
It's challenging sometimes with the vendor that we're using, you know
Mhm.
what I mean, for consistently showing up when they're, say they're going to
It's a
show up.
large company.
O'Brien?
but- Yes, but they have so many projects that they're doing that. And they also, they contract out the installation. So they have to get together with the installers to figure out and.
So
it's-
they don't use their own people for everything that's being
No.
done.
No,
This is
that's
not,
why that's not done yet.
right. I just included a couple pictures here of some of this, like this garden has been renovated. We used, we did not use the money from CPA for this, but this is ready to go for a relationship that we're establishing with Sustainable Cape in Farmer in the Classroom. So that's kind of ready to go to be planted this spring. Little renovation to that garden
So
area.
we went from garden beds to
To
tubs
tubs,
because the
Lot-
weeds were just,
lots of invasive
Yeah.
plants there that would continue to wreak havoc. And then finally, along the north border of the school, a couple of winters ago, the fence was crushed. So we replaced the fence, cleared out, some trees and things, and these are some new plantings. And, mulch and things like that. So that area looks really nice.
so
that's-
yes, there's fruit trees there.
Yeah, these are all new plantings
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
in these, so. And that's it for what's happening there now, and then for phase 2.
So what we like to do, I guess everybody looked at this.
Mhm.
Oops, sorry.
What we'd like to do for phase 2 is put what you call a whirly cue, a spinner.
Mhm.
It was recommended by O'Brien and Sons. We don't have a spinner. And that is one of the
We
things that.
want everybody to be spinning all the time.
Playground.
They
It
do a
is.
pretty good job at that. Without it.
But it just happens to fit into the spot.
Well,
that
that's
we
where I
have.
was you were talking about having a problem with the swing, so I was wondering where
Yes,
you're
what
gonna
would
put this.
Go behind the swings.
Oh,
There's
okay.
space behind.
Yes, the space
Okay.
behind the swings. There's a pretty good space back there. But because we have the lunar blast,
Yeah.
we can't move the swings because the I don't know if you saw the lunar blast while you were
Take a
there.
picture.
It's
They can- way in
it's
the
a
back
rope.
there, they can climb way up.
Oh, yes,
rope
yes,
climber?
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So that would go right next to that. The whirly cue. What I really wanted to get was the global motion, which is next to that,
Yeah, I see it.
but it's very expensive.
Mm.
So
Well,
I
that's
decided to
14. 14,000.
downsize and go to the whirly cue.
What does PIP stand for when he
Port
says,
in place, remember?
what it,
The port in place,
Yep.
remember?
Rubber.
port in place?
Yeah.
Mhm. So that's what we'll use on the whirly cue. the surface around that. So
Mhm.
every time now that we upgrade, we'll use the rubber surfacing.
Okay,
I think, yeah, for phase 3, for sure. I like his idea about that PIP.
Yeah.
For everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
that would be great.
Well, the other thing is, it's not just the elementary school students that are using this equipment.
Right.
Oh, of course.
I mean, it's the, all sorts of other
Mhm.
people. I mean, anybody that wants to, in town can stop
Oh,
by
yeah.
and using it. You have the summer program, you've got the, all sorts of other
Mhm.
rec department things going on there. So you don't really know. I mean, I'm sure there are other people that have wheelchairs or walkers or one thing or
Mhm.
another that.
Right.
Plus, it's a component of the strategic plan too, in the town's strategic plan to upgrade and make
Mhm.
everything ADA accessible.
Exactly.
I mean, it's almost a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ed.
So we're only asking though for $55,000, and that's not gonna cover the rubber surfacing on the big playground. We would have to have another $100,000 to do that.
Mhm, mhm.
The original paperwork showed 50,000. You're up to 55 now?
It's just the
Yes.
Whirly G and
Mhm.
the.
Yes,
the-
because that's what it costs
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do the next phase.
It's the 9,000 for the Whirly G and then the PIP is 17, so it adds up.
Right.
Yeah,
However, we still have $10,000 left.
from
this one.
phase 1.
Yes. And if we could roll that into the next phase, it wouldn't have to be the 55, it could be 45. But I'd like to keep the 10,000 so we can continue right now to do the projects that we want to do. If we roll it over to next year, we got to wait until May before we can do anything again.
It's more like June, and then you can do it then.
And that's why it took us so long to get this done, because the big projects that they're doing are being done in the summer. So if we could keep that 10,000 now to start the next phase, then I could order the parts and everything that we want now, and, we can start.
Mhm. Do people have any questions
I
on?
have one question. On your phase 2 in your written description,
Mhm.
you're showing painting some worn parts on the equipment.
Right.
Does that qualify for CPC funding?
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Paintings
we
and
do that, we do that up like.
It is a lot.
Yeah, and actually, that's the school that would be doing that.
Okay.
Oh.
I ordered the paint. I
Oh.
already ordered the paint from them to,
All I'm saying is it's in this phase 2 description, and I wanted to make sure we had.
oh, well,
Funding
it's
and everything.
it's going to be a continuation
Okay.
to keep our equipment in
No,
shape.
No
you know?
argument that you
Yeah,
need it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know whether
Mhm.
CPC funding qualifies.
Plus, that equipment's all modular. If you want to
No,
take out a
pieces?
section and put a different section in, you could do that
Right.
too.
Right. And I had thoughts of maybe adding a couple pieces
We
to
could add,
the.
yeah, we
yeah.
added on to the
Yeah.
Wiley Park one,
Mhm.
we added on to
Yeah.
a structure we already had.
Mhm.
How did that work? Was
That
it
works
good?
fine. I
Yeah.
mean, you get,
Mhm.
you go to the same people you bought the original
Right.
structure from.
Right.
And, it just clamps on to the poles
Mhm.
and makes,
Well, we
the
do
piece
have
bigger.
space there that we can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And my only other question is, and I hate to even bring it up, but do we need 3 competitive bids?
I think you're talking about O'Brien and I think last year you talked about trying to get bids from an assortment of locations. And you had trouble finding them.
Well, we
Ed,
can't
you
put
recommended-
somebody else's equipment
Somebody-
on our equipment.
I'm sorry?
We can't put somebody else's equipment on the equipment that we already have. Otherwise, it's an insurance
O'Brien
liability.
is-
Yes,
Is on the state.
yeah,
vendor bid.
right.
So we're
they've
okay
already
without
been
the 3 bids?
Pre-qualified
Yeah.
as having.
Mhm.
Fine,
the
that's
best
my only
price.
question. I'm done.
That's what we did on the other. quote.
Okay.
Even though I'd like to
Shift from
do that,
Yeah,
but
you can't.
Just.
Okay.
it just, you just can't do that.
Well, I mean, you could.
Well, for,
But it's a little different. There's the way we do it. And it's really complicated and takes a lot of work because we go out and purchase the equipment ourselves. And then we go out and get an installer ourselves. You know, it ends up cheaper, but it's a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
We also had Nancy.
Yeah,
That was-
we also had a
back in
consultant
the day,
that coordinated everything for us.
Are there any other questions from the committee members? I'm looking, anybody zooming in, have a question? Joanne, Eileen, Janet? Okay. Do people want to vote on this today, or do people want to wait until everything is discussed at the end of the next time we have the rest of our projects?
Well, why don't we move them right along?
You know, the only question I have is, from your present description, is there anything you're going to add in that 55,000 request, or is that it? What you've written here, I just want to make sure the paperwork fits.
Right.
Are you okay with this?
Yes.
Okay, then I agree, we could vote.
Okay,
I make a motion to accept the application for 55,186.
What? Second, Dave? Any discussion? All in favor? And I have to go, Janet, Eileen, we can barely see you, Eileen. We can see your eyes.
I'm not saying anything but a white blank screen saying Zoom, so I don't know how I'm losing you.
Joanna,
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Elaine,
Yes.
Dave, Ed, me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Is that 8? No, because Mark is not here today.
Right, 8-0.
8-0. And it is,
So do you have to vote on the other thing?
I'm sorry?
The
The
10,000?
10,000, yes. Do you have to vote on that, or is that,
No,
because that was
Just
already
leave it
part of
open
the
and-
Just leave it open.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
leave it open and
You don't have
continue
to-
use
I
it.
just want to make
You don't
sure
have to,
we're,
you don't have to spend
Good.
everything within.
If it was
12
closed out, it would be a different
yes,
situation.
okay,
But it's not.
great.
But I would like to add that I'm assuming, as we've discussed, that you plan on coming in with phase 3 next year.
Mhm,
And whatever that consists of, obviously you don't know exactly.
right,
But I would like to agree with Ed that you start looking at the ADA issues. Because
Yes,
to me,
right.
and Ed has commented also, I think that's very important.
right. But we could also maybe talk to O'Brien and Sons about doing sections of that
Sure.
first, you know?
Mhm.
Where, so kids can
So-
actually, we do have areas where there's pavement and ramps where they can come onto the equipment
Mhm.
already.
Mhm.
But if maybe we could do sections of it a
Mhm.
little at a time so that, you know, it's
So
more
where you're putting the whirling,
convenient
Yeah. Behind the
That's-
swing set.
right?
behind the swings.
Right,
Yes.
right. So, but I assume you're developing an area where you're gonna put more equipment there.
Yeah, well, see that zip
zip-
line there?
Yeah,
That was going to go in front of the fence by the gardens. But as you can see, it's like $75,000 for that.
stop
Yeah, yeah,
getting
yeah.
hung up on money, will you?
Well, I'm cheap.
If you're gonna do it, let's do
Well,
it right.
we
Let's
need
do
to
it
make
right
sure
in the
we-
first
yeah.
place.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
I guess we could
It's
think
taken-
about that for next year.
It's taken me 15 years to get the Field of Dreams done.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
Just do it right
The first time.
the
Yes,
first time. we
right.
do it.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're getting.
Well, you already voted on what we're doing for this year.
Well, that's
So,
all we can. We have the
Yes.
application
Yeah.
for this year.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
set on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have other people that are looking for money too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we do.
but that's not.
But your piece of the money's coming out of my portion of the fund.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that what's there is proper and
Yeah.
is useful and makes sense for
yeah.
ADA and everybody else.
Mhm. Well, thank you very much.
No, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Welcome. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you both, Bill and Linda, for joining us today.
Our pleasure.
Okay, now let's see here. Okay, on the agenda, we had the, Jay, we had you next, so.
Yes.
Thank you both, Bill and Linda. Bye-bye. Wherever you're comfortable.
I'm here to present an application for the Historic Commission here in town. It's a continuation. I'm using some of the terms that you had in your last meeting, since I watched it on Zoom.
You could have come, Jay.
I could have come, but I didn't.
We're nice people.
I know, and I was on this committee for 9 years.
I know you were. I know you were.
But basically, to give you an update, if you noticed, we've had surveys done in 1995, 2005, 2013, 2020, and the ongoing one, which will be finished beginning of this coming year, 2023. It takes a long time to do this particular type of research that's done. And at the same time, one of the things that has improved the research is that we're getting better at, because things have become digitalized. When they started this in 1980, when the Historic Commission was created, or 1981, the basic problem was it all had to be done by hand, and all the records were handwritten. And when you deal with 17th and 18th century and even 19th century handwriting, it's quite a job. Then on top of it, there was no consistency how they kept records and things of this nature. We're running into this problem now that in the beginning around 1900, when all of a sudden the farmers decided, once the railroads were built, that it was time to get rid of their farms and subdivide it into little cottages. And the result is that we have lots and lots and lots of little cottages here in town. And some of them are in good condition and some of them are in bad condition. But it's important that we document all of the properties that we have, because the Historic Commission is responsible if someone wants to tear them down, to review and see if, in fact, it merits being torn down. Right now, this year, we've had 6 applications to tear down buildings. And the last one that we inspected, which was this week, had a tree growing through it. And if the tree wasn't there, the cottage would have gone right into the
Tree was holding it up.
the tree was holding it up. So in many instances, we have neglect, because there's this particular cottage has been fought over by 2 brothers for 50 years. And the result was that it was a mess. Anyway, at this point, we're asking for $40,000 to continue the survey. We are up to about 1930. But it's getting harder and harder, because in the 30s and in the 40s, the farmers that were left here in town were constantly swapping with their own family members the land and so forth and so on. And it's quite a mess in terms of the property surveys. We're required, when we do these inventories for Form Bs for the state, to make sure that the boundaries match the boundaries that are taken from the sky. As you know, all our properties here in town have been documented via the sky. So that's another whole issue. But I really think that we as a town are ahead of a number of towns here on the Cape. And I think the town should be proud that we've been able to do what we've been able to do at this stage of the game. There is one mistake in the application, and I'll call to your attention the budget.
The
It doesn't-
40,000?
We're asking 40,000, but what's missing is the supplies that we need. And that's paper and a whole variety of things. There's $1,000 that's a line after contingency was dropped. I don't know exactly why, but I just discovered this. And that would bring it up to 40,000. The Form Bs are done professionally. And we've been fortunate to be able to work with a new firm that has now worked with Provincetown, Truro, Wellfleet, and Eastham, and now Orleans is joined, so that there's going to be even more consistency in terms of the historical accuracy. Some people move from town to town, and as you know, at one point, Wellfleet and Orleans were part of Eastham or Nauset. So this is what we're proposing, and I included in the packet some examples of Form Bs, the kind of work that's done, because some of you are new and some of you've heard this before. And when these are done, they always find new things. And so that's added to these forms as time goes on. They're using the aerial records that we have now that the federal government has provided. We're using the fire records. We're using the land records, and we're using historic societies records to make these as complete as we can. So I'm leaving it to you to ask questions, and if you have them, and I'm through.
Jay, I think the only question, I think it came up last time too, is you still have $21,000 remaining in last year's grant. Is that just about gone, or?
It will be gone
It will
right
be
before we even get into
Okay.
into this, yes. It took, and when I applied for that grant, I had indicated that we would need at least 2 years. And I would say the same is true of this at the stage of the game, and that's all I can tell you at
Yeah,
this.
no, that's fine, as long as you're spending it at that time.
No, and I understand what you were saying to the predecessor
Yeah,
thing with their $10,000. They just haven't closed out the process, and it was nice that Stacy included a form in here that's still in here for closing out applications. I remember when we didn't do that, now we do. So this is what we've been doing. We depend a lot on the help of here in town. The staff that's under Paul has been excellent. The assessor has been tremendous. This particular survey, we have finally gotten the cooperation of the town departments that we need. There was a time when we were not allowed to go into the archives of this town. And that is all changed. We have been able.
What was the reason for that?
Oh, they said it was a liability issue for us to go down into the
Into the vault.
to the vaults.
Mm.
And sometimes we can find an answer in there between. It's interesting how you find answers that you have questions about. In particular, as we look at the properties, especially in the campground area, these properties, cabins were built in such a way that they might be just on the corner here. And actually, we've had 2 properties where the building was actually in the next lot. There was no consistency. We've come a long way as a town, but it still creates a headache when people sell at this point. So, any questions? Yes.
Dave?
Approximately how many places will this 40,000?
It's in here. It'll
108.
be,
It's
it'll be
108.
108.
And that's my question. How did you arrive at 108?
We made a decision that we were only going to ask for $40,000. And so that we were reversed it.
Because you went backwards.
We went backwards. I have been under the leadership of this Historic Commission. I've been very careful before coming to the your group. And I've also been very careful to make sure that if there are other historic projects, if we can delay something in terms of asking, I'd rather finish what we're doing well than to rush in and continue. You know, I mean, if we wanted to do the rest of this project, we'd probably be asking 400,000 or something of that nature. And that's not fair for the other people that are involved in the historic section of what we can grant.
So based on that 108 is, you obviously allocated 350 per form. Is that a state price?
That is the price that we have received from the company that's working.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Company for that. That is correct.
Okay. Is that price change? I mean, as you said, you've been doing this for a number of years now.
The price has gone up,
Yeah.
but it has not gone up that much. And the present survey, it was a new vendor.
Yeah.
Because our previous vendor,
Couldn't find, something happened and
Yeah.
they
well,
no longer
they
available.
retired
Oh,
and
that's
moved
right.
to Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And
Move to the Cape?
no, but one of their researchers, and you'll see that, I think, if it may be in one of these, is Catherine Glover. And she was now reaching the 8-0 period in her life. And she said, enough research is enough research. But she had.
Nothing wrong with the 80 area.
Oh, I know that, Mary. You and I know how old we are. And I passed 8-0, and I won't ask you, but anyway, enough. Other questions that you have?
Well, I'm glad to hear that the town of Eastham, who puts valuable documents in the safe and doesn't want anybody to look at it, has allowed you to look at it, because I think it's absurd
Yeah.
to put documents in for preservation and
And
for
then
And actually, some
for
of.
future, generations, and then not let anybody see it. So I'm
And
glad you did that.
you'll also notice that when the library was built, Mary was on the committee and I was on this committee at that time. We had, Mary's group asked for two things, and one was to save the old library, which was done beautifully,
$75,000.
right? And to create a climate-controlled room for archives.
40,000.
And that Eastham room is already filled with the documents that we have. But what it does is make it available to people to do research here in town. But at that time, when the library was built, the Historic Society decided that they did not want to follow the rules of the library, because the library is a town building and it has certain hours. And the Historic Society only has Tuesdays that they're open for this kind of research. That will change with their new edition and things, I'm sure. But at this point, we are now working together quite nicely with the Historic Society. Any other questions? Any questions from the people on Zoom?
No, looks like they don't have anything.
Okay,
Okay. Do
All
do people feel comfortable voting for this project?
Yes.
Make a motion, we accept the application for $40,000.
Do I have a second? Oh,
I
Go ahead.
second it.
only one at a time. Joanna,
Second.
is there any discussion? All in favor? Elaine, Dave, Eileen, Janet, Joanna, Ed, me.
Aye.
8-0. 8-0, and this is 12-4-24.
Well, I thank you very much for
Thank you.
your
Thank you for
attention.
coming.
And if you have any other questions at some point, don't hesitate to call or email me.
All right,
Okay.
and you're always welcome to join us here. We meet here on a regular basis.
I know, but you meet at supper time.
And we don't serve.
Thanks,
Thank
Jay. And thanks for coming. Okay, we have the Wiley Park kiosk. So Francis, would you like to join us?
Hello.
So Francis Lewis from the Open Space Committee. And before we talk about the kiosk, I just wanted to give you a quick update on 2 other projects we have that are open. One is the Sandy Meadow interpretive signs. 2 signs are in production. And Alex, I know, has reached out to Stacy for writing the checks. And the 3rd sign needs a little bit more work, and then we'll send that in. So they will be done. They'll be done very shortly. It's not a long process one. So maybe with the 3rd sign, I would probably say February at the latest, because there's little to do. So we can look for a spring installation. And then also at Sandy Meadow, I was there today with the 3rd landscaping company. We've asked for a bid. And we have 1 bid already, and we'll have the other 2 before the Christmas break. And all 3 landscapers were very interested in the project because they can do it in the winter when they're not busy.
When they're not doing.
So it looks like this winter, we'll have the ADA extension completed, and then we'll be able to get the signs installed. And you're all going to be cordially invited to an open house at Sandy Meadow to see this beautiful project we're going to have completed there.
We do it in the summer?
Sure. Well, the open house is open for discussion. Well, I'm not getting that joke. No,
He wants to go out
well,
there.
we're not going to have the, on the installation of the signs, we're going to be working with DPW, and we haven't begun to talk about that issue. Any questions on those 2 projects? Thank you. Thank you very much for your support on that. Well, on the kiosk application, that's the other one. All right. Just some little updates from what I wrote on the application. Talking with Natural Resources, and Stephanie Sykes said that the Natural Resources will be hiring, DPW will be hiring people, 2 staff members. And she felt that the DPW would be available for the installation of the kiosk, particularly since the money for the kiosk, if approved, we wouldn't, have until the summer. So by then they would be able to manage the staff time. And that was an issue for us as we were trying to think about planning this.
Installation.
And as a committee, we decided against doing it with volunteer help because we felt that there were liability and safety issues, and it should be done professionally and with the people who are accredited in doing that. So that decision was made, and now we know that DPW will be available, later next year for that. And we still are working on getting a third bid. We have the two I included in the
In the packet,
application.
yeah. Mhm.
We're going to talk to some more of the nonprofits around here. We're going to talk to Wellfleet and see where their vendors, and then the Audubon. So we're going to keep researching that. And I also have been talking to the people at the tech school too.
That's,
See-
Ed.
Finally get through.
Yes, thanks to Stacy.
Unfortunately, we lost our two contacts over there, and one
Thanks to
retired and one
Stacy.
left, so,
Yes.
I wasn't
to
sure,
find somebody else.
how you still, how it's
So
still.
we've started the conversation, and I don't have a bid yet, but we're in conversation on that. So that's a new addition that we didn't have that information when we were writing this up. And that in talking about the information that we're going to be posting, we've been have talked to the 1651, and they're interested in putting information on these kiosks about the planting. And as people walk around there, you know, they've been doing a lot of work, and it's very interesting, and it would give people information about, you know, what was done. And then, of course, we'll be working with the Eastham Dog Owners Association, because they are very interested in good communication with the community too. So those are the additions that were not down. And the price report was, remember, the most expensive idea, so we would know of the bids we have of what would be the most expensive. But with DPW's labor and expertise,
Should be very helpful.
it should be very helpful on the final bids. Did you have any questions on the application, please?
I just have a question. As you said, you're asking for 11,000 and you're still waiting for a response from Cape Tech.
Yes,
Right.
but that's not a definite bid yet.
Right. So, and the 11,000, I think that was Cape Associates
Well,
with,
that covered that one, which was the higher of the
with
two.
installation.
That was with installation.
Right.
So that's why I say it wouldn't be that amount, but
When do you think you might hear something from Cape Tech? Do you have any idea of
you know,
timing?
you're working with people who in their jobs, and right now they're busy with those projects.
Mm.
That one I would think, I can't tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you.
I don't know, do people feel comfortable approving 11,000 without knowing what the Cape Tech people might come in with, what their bid might be? Or whether we should wait till you hear?
You know what, though, Mary, we could be on hold for a long time.
Oh, really?
They're slow.
Oh.
They're good, but they're slow.
Oh,
I mean, they have a lot of projects that they deal with, and scheduling going out. And I mean, they could probably make the kiosks in-house and then go out and install them. But I don't think we should wait. I think we move forward. You still have 6 months before town meeting and everything gets approved. So by that time, hopefully you have a bid from the tech school. You know, then again, the tech school's off all summer long,
Right.
so they wouldn't be able to start the project to the fall.
Right.
Oh.
One thing I can tell you that there's no time before, which we don't have the money anyway, but
Yeah.
there's no time in this next semester.
For them to
Cut
do
summer off.
the project.
And to be completely open here, there's no commitment on their part yet.
Right,
we're
so
in
it'd be a
discussion.
fall,
We're in
it'd be a
discussion.
fall project
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
were to commit.
Yes.
so based on that, everybody, what are your thoughts?
I just wanted clarification. The 11,000 is for both Wiley Park and Sandy Meadow?
No, it's only 2 kiosks at Wiley Park. at
What
the two
happened to the
entrances.
Sandy Meadow application?
Oh, which one? The interpretive signs or
Yes.
the ADA?
The
Fix it.
interpretive signs. There was a placeholder. Is that still coming in? That-
No.
That's out?
That's from last
Last
year.
All right,
Last
okay,
year.
fine. Okay, so
The,
this is just
the 11,000 that you're asking for today is for the 2 kiosks at Wiley
Wiley
Park.
Park.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, great. Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve 11,000 for 2 kiosks at Wiley Park?
So moved.
Second.
That's Dan. And that's Ed. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Elaine, Dave, Janet, Eileen, Joanna, Ed, me,
Yes.
8-0. 8-0 on 12/4/24. Okay. 11,000 for 2 kiosks.
Done. Well, I don't think it'll be that, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Chris,
thank
I
you.
want to apologize. We meant to get you a letter of support, but things got jammed up in the rec department, but we wholeheartedly support this project.
Thank you very much. Right, we did get one from, yes, we had a couple come in and it really
Yeah,
is.
Christine sent something in.
Christine.
She just said something.
sent
Yeah,
one in,
Christine
so
sent
we're
something in, yeah,
recreation.
and conservation
Yeah.
sent something in too. She has 2 letters of support.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, people.
Yeah, thank you,
and thank
Francis.
for your time.
Yeah, thank you for coming this evening.
Okay.
Okay, we are down to the last one. And that's the Eastham Conservation, and we have Henry Lind with us today.
Good evening.
Good
Hello.
evening, sir.
I am Henry Lind. I'm with the Eastham Conservation Foundation. And there is a lot of confusion in town about the difference between the Conservation Commission
Mm.
and the foundation.
Foundation. Oh,
We are a private 501c3 land trust. We've been to this group in the past. Most recently in 2022, 23 to purchase a property on Cole Road,
mhm.
which was a huge success. This is very similar. We have a parcel which has been approved for a house through the Conservation Commission because it's right near a wetland. And the commissioners struggled with this one back and forth over several hearings and reluctantly, but did finally issue an order of conditions which would allow the construction of a house on this very sensitive property. A neighbor decided that was not going to be in the best interest of the wildlife and purchased it a number of years ago. But as things have changed, they're now interested in selling it, hoping that it will not be sold to somebody that would put a house on it. Came to the foundation and said, would you be interested in purchasing it? Which is exactly the same situation that happened with 100 Cole Road. And we said, yes, we would, because we value that habitat. That is a bordering vegetated wetland from a pond. The history of the pond is not exactly certain, but we believe it was assisted by the developer of the subdivision as an added benefit for people that would purchase the property. It has not been used as a swimming pond to the best of our knowledge, but the bordering vegetation around it is critical for those species of frogs and salamanders and whatnot that are so-called vernal. That is, they use that wetland area for spawning purposes in the spring, and then they retreat to the upland area around it for a distance of perhaps 200 feet for the rest of the year. So if you're looking for a spring peeper, you look way up in the woods in July and August and September, and then they go back down to the wetland in April and May, and that's when you hear them. So this property has been assessed at $223,000. It's been offered. It was purchased by an interim buyer in order to speed things up. A lot of times with real estate transfers, time is of the essence. But with this interim buyer, that is not the case. And that was the case with 100 Cole Road, because we were also applying to some grant funding that had a very hard deadline of the end of June. And that got very complicated, but I'm pleased to report that it worked very smoothly. This property will then be reserved as just open space. That's what we do. We have about 300 acres in town, about 70, give or take 69, 70 different parcels of land, which are just open space. And you've probably seen signs along some of our roadways identifying where they are. And they're open to the public. Most of them are not really what you would call walking trails, although we are developing one area down in southeast Eastham along Goody Hallett Road, which was formerly the American Youth Hostel property. That is now being converted into a pollinator garden, a memorial garden, and it probably will be suitable for a walking trail. Not a destination, perhaps, if you're coming from Idaho or someplace like that, like the Cape Cod National Seashore, but certainly the local area, it's walking distance for an awful lot of people. So that's what we do, and we are hopeful that the CPC committee would be interested in supporting this project. We have $150,000 to raise in order to purchase this. We have done some fundraising privately. We have some commitments. We've had some donations already, but this would put us a long way toward the completion of the project. And if you have any questions.
I have some questions.
Sure.
You've indicated that none of the land could be used for housing in any capacity. Is that what you're saying?
Once it's owned by the Eastham Conservation Foundation, it will be secured permanently
Mhm.
with a conservation restriction that says it shall not be used for anything. All of our properties are so designated.
Okay. And you also said in the request that it can't be used for hiking or any type of recreation. It's just going to sit there essentially?
Essentially, yes. I mean, there's a little walking path already in existence, and we wouldn't discourage people in the neighborhood from using it. But generally speaking, it doesn't really lend itself to a walking trail.
Mhm.
What if you don't raise the 100,000?
And we have to renegotiate with the interim property holder.
So then, if you didn't raise the 100,000, then if we made a $50,000 commitment to you, that would be null and void?
No, I think what would happen would be the sales price to the Eastham Conservation Foundation would be negotiated with the interim buyer.
Why did the original owner agree to sell it to another party but before coming to the Conservation Foundation? I didn't understand the movement of
It wasn't-
ownership.
Sure. It wasn't before, it was concomitant with, so that the original owner can go forward with their financial planning. And presumably, it will take us at least until the end of 2025 to raise these funds. And they wish to get going sooner rather than later. So this other trust has been willing to step in and hold it until such time as the funds are raised.
So what is the deadline for the funds to be raised as far as the owner of the land is concerned?
Calendar 2025. So December 31st,
December
2025.
2025.
Yep.
So what that means is that our share, if we went along with this, would have to be at this coming town meeting, because
Mhm.
otherwise it'll be too late
Mhm, mhm.
for 2025.
That's correct. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
This May.
And we do routinely, if not every application, indicate that our money would not be issued until such time
Mhm.
as the other money is available. Do you have a problem with that?
No, not at all. And that was the same arrangement that we had with the
With
100 Cole
Cole
Road.
I'm
With
just,
Cole Road.
reiterating that we don't go risk.
I understand that. A little bit of familiarity with the town finances.
Okay.
Any questions from the Zooming folk? Any questions here? Do I have a motion to approve the request for 50,000 for the 20 Deacon Paine Road project?
Move to approve the 50,000 for the 20 Deacon Paine project.
That's Janet.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Eileen,
So move.
any discussion? All in favor? Elaine? Yes? Dave? Eileen, Janet, Joanna, Ed? 8-0. 8-0 on 12/4/24.
And in our conditions, we will make it, you know, our conditions that.
When we do the conditions.
That'll come out. It won't come out until the rest of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Great. Well, thank you very much.
thank you very much,
Appreciate it.
Henry. Thank you for joining us.
Indeed.
I'm going to go back to the agenda. We have the minutes of November 6th that Stacy prepared. Do I have any questions on the minutes of November 6th? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of November 6th, 2024?
So move.
Who is that, Eileen?
Yep.
Yeah, all of us were present, so. Do I have a second to approve the minutes of
Second.
November 6th? Janet,
Yes.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
One, two, Elaine, Dave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-0. Thank you, Stacy. On to the agenda. The agenda. Review the most recent financial information. And we did have the most recent financial information that Tina put together. Are there any comments on the, I do the project list first. And are there any questions on anything regarding the project list? I have a question, Tina. I've noticed that, I know this is as of the end of October. I do see a lot of work being done on the schoolhouse museum. And I see that at least as of the end of 10/31, we hadn't paid anything. So have you been receiving anything since 10/31? No. Because I don't know if you've had a chance to drive by. It's really coming along. Yes.
There were 2 invoices that were put in for November.
Oh. Okay, so they haven't gotten to
Correct.
to Tina yet.
Well, they have.
Oh.
But there's not showing up.
They haven't got paid.
Yeah, it's not through 10/31. Okay. Let me see. We need to get and I'm asking Stacy and Tina on the Finch Skate Park. It's my understanding that that's complete. Do we have?
And that $600 invoice came through in November, so it'll be on November's.
Oh, okay, so they've spent everything.
They have.
Okay.
And I have their final report.
Okay, good.
We're
Okay,
good.
I'm good. Okay, so that's another question that I had.
Mary,
Yes.
I was just curious, on the schoolhouse, have they raised their portion?
I have no idea.
Because it's like,
I'm assuming they've been paying Peter McDonald and I mean, have you been by?
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah.
I've seen it certainly,
Yeah, it's up and it's
Right.
in pretty good shape.
But normally we don't release
Until the.
our
Other-
money
other
until
funds are in.
the whole project is funded.
That's
Eh.
not necessary.
Oh, no.
Sorry. We can, yes, I know that this isn't like a topic that's going on right now. Certain projects we do not pay till the end, but we can pay for projects that they're working on as long as they turn in to us an invoice for what they have finished.
Mhm.
I am under Mass General Law and I'm not allowed to pay for things until they're finished. So whenever you have like the schoolhouse project, and of course I could name several others that are done in phases or weekly or
Over
monthly,
time.
over time, that's a lot of money for them to cover, if you will.
Mhm.
So what work that they have completed comes to Paul and Stacy, and if they believe that that's done, then they submit it for payment.
Mhm.
So we're not going to wait and save up the whole thing and pay them at the end.
When it's finished, we're not paying 447,000
Correct.
But my point is, if they don't raise their
piece.
200,000 or whatever the heck it is,
Mm.
we have a half-finished project.
Potentially, yeah.
Do we pay for a half-finished project?
Do we pay our share
Mm,
of a half-finished project?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Can-
I just,
can-
What have we done? And I mean, we usually ask people to support the projects that they've asked monies for. I mean, that's a given.
And they were going to do a fundraiser.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
not know where they are with that.
No,
They are applying for a grant.
Yeah. And I think they had some monies that were given to them, that were
$100,000.
100,000 to match. I mean, it was to be used as a match.
But if they do not have a fundraiser and they get to that 447, they're not getting any more money from us.
That's right.
So then they'll have to have a bake sale or something.
Yeah. I'm not sure about a bake sale.
No, but Dave brings up a good point.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, if they don't raise their match,
Mhm.
then we put it 440.
Into something that can't be
into something
finished?
That's not finished. That's not complete.
Well, certainly if it was out of town, we wouldn't do it. The question is, if it's in town, would we do it? I think that's a valid question.
Mhm.
You know, if it was in Orleans, the answer is no, but if it's in Eastham, would we? That's a good thing. for
If
the
it was in
project.
Orleans, I think we would probably wait and let them
Yeah.
finish the
Wait
whole
till they
thing.
finish
Right.
the whole
Yeah, right.
So now the question is, because it's in Eastham, are we gonna hold the same policy or we're gonna have some latitude here?
No, we just told Henry that we were gonna hold money until they had raised the other half.
Well, that's because he can't purchase it. There is a difference here.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if there's a building that's built, but the interior is missing because they didn't have the money to finish it. I guess as long as it's close to the weather, I guess it could sit there until they do raise. I mean, would it affect us? In other words, would we say,
That it was unwisely used?
yeah, I mean theoretically, if it gets built, but doesn't have the last 100,000 of finishing on the inside, do we care? I mean, and we care, but do we hold money? That's a good question. I don't know.
Well, what have we done? Do we have any other similar situation like this that you can remember, Tina?
We did Chapel in the Pines, but I don't remember that being.
That's the case, just came
Yeah.
up to my mind too, but
They did some handicapped
oh,
rework
they
in
did
there
quite a
and
bit
all
of
that.
work there.
And we gave them money and
That was kind of broken out in
Yeah,
sections.
right,
though.
right. That,
So it-
Yeah.
we'll do this and then we'll do this and, you know, pieces.
and we actually asked them to add more to make it more historically
Yeah.
accurate with that ridge piece on the roof ridge.
Yes, yeah.
I really can't think of any off the top of my head, Mary, because
Mhm.
probably because you're asking me and I feel like I'm on the spot. I'm sure when I go home, I'll
I'm
be
sorry,
like,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Tina, you.
But as the town accountant, I have to look at so many different transactions that are not the same. There's so many different things. With this, I'm not really worried. I feel like they will raise the money or get the grant. It's going to be okay. But like Dan says, if they don't, then it's really on them. We did our part.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's something that the committee would remember going down the road if they
So-
came back for another project.
That's very
That's a good
true.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true.
Or if they came back and said, we
need more.
We didn't raise our
Yeah,
money, we
I
need
want
more
more.
from you.
Exactly. And then
And it
that's
does
when you
put-
can have
And
a
then it
say.
does put pressure on us. I mean, I will be the first to admit. We don't want to have completed building.
Mhm.
Nobody does, so.
So in this case, Stacy and Tina, you said that 2 invoices have been received. Is that what you just said?
You know, to what extent,
Yeah,
money
what,
wise,
yeah.
roughly?
I think the first one might have been 15,000 and the second one was 20,000.
Oh,
So it's
oh,
not a big
It's
deal.
not.
Considering it's the request was 447,000.
So I guess we have time.
I'm not worried
Yeah,
yet.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
agree with you.
So we should just keep this in
Well,
mind.
keep it in mind
Keep
as
it in
we go
mind.
down the road.
With this
And-
project and any other similar type project.
Within the town.
Yeah.
And to think about these things when we're approving the projects.
Right.
What could go wrong? What do we need to think about? What do you want to add to
Mhm.
the order of conditions?
Yeah. And we need to go through that,
And we haven't had a bad history with them. It's not like
order
that.
of conditions when we get. to
Well,
that
I
point.
think, oh, we don't get to approve invoices. No, okay, never mind. If we had the power to approve invoices, we would hold approval, but we don't.
Yeah.
If they submit an invoice towards the 447,000, we don't have the option of not paying it.
No, not really.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I could reject it for a couple of reasons,
Right.
but I don't think that's a good.
It's gonna hold,
Yeah.
okay.
And the other thing is if you guys wanted to see all the invoices that are getting
Right.
paid,
No,
it would be.
no, we don't.
It's gonna be a mess.
No, we don't.
But it would also,
Fine.
since we only meet once a month,
Right.
hold that up.
Yeah.
I think, Stacy, unofficially, we just keep a tab in your mind or in your records. So if we ask you how much has been spent.
Yeah, that's a
you
good
know,
idea.
That's as far as I would go on.
When-
I mean,
when meet.
we could probably go back to them and ask them how much they've raised
Yeah, we could do that too.
towards,
I'm not sure they have to answer, but.
They're hoping that if they get this grant, that they're gonna be able to return a good portion of the.
of our money.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
but they won't know until the spring.
Right,
Mm.
okay.
And Stacy did ask me about that, and I said that if we pay the whole amount and then they get the grant, they can definitely pay us back, and then we'll just put it back in undesignated and reuse it.
Okay.
That's not an issue.
For somebody else.
Mhm.
Okay.
But let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, I agree.
All righty. Were there any other questions, comments on the project list in particular?
I have a question.
Sure.
So last meeting, we were talking about the housing, the Orleans affordable housing,
Mhm.
the $100,000 that we did pay.
Oh, that's the Cape Cod 5 West Street, I think.
Penrose.
Yeah, that's Cape
Yeah.
Cod 5, yeah.
So we've already paid that one. And then the other one was for Hack Brewster. And they are also requesting payment. And
No, it's Hack Orleans.
Orleans, I'm sorry.
107 Main Street.
107 Main Street.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was 100,000 too.
Are we are they requesting the money?
They are
Yeah.
requesting the money.
And we talked about it last time. And again, as the town accountant, I'm under mass general law that we do not pay for things in advance.
Mhm.
I'm not even allowed to pay for deposits. Now, with that being said, I can make the judgment call of whether we're gonna pay for something in advance. And in the economy that we're in, there are some things that I'm at least working with Jackie and we're having to pay deposits because we've got people who aren't willing to do that and wait. And I understand that.
This isn't a deposit though. This is for actual work that's been done. They sent pictures.
I was just
But the only
explaining.
problem is the pictures of a foundation.
Well, that's the Main Street one, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Main
So
Street.
The Cape Cod.
we're
5
certainly
one,
not
that's
at the
they're
end of the
pretty well
project
Yeah,
on this
they're
one.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're not, at
We pay,
doesn't matter.
we can't pay at the end. The
No,
money is
No, I
for
agree.
disbursement through the process and performance of the project. So they've sent us an invoice. They've
Right.
spent the money on construction funds to do the foundation. So they've
Right.
sent us an invoice with photos of the work to be done. So that's how these projects work. We can't save it to the end. There will never be an end they need to pay the project while they're doing, just like
No,
when you're
I
building. your
totally
house.
understand. I guess the question is, and it's just an open question. why is Eastham being solicited for their 100,000 at the foundation level when Brewster or any of the other towns might do it at the end, towards the end rather than at the beginning? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I have no idea.
Well,
And-
I guess that would be a question. So that's something the committee could consider. If you want to actually say, we want,
Approve.
well,
Well,
I
no,
mean,
they
they-
paid,
there's-
they paid 100,000 because they have a foundation. And that foundation costs more than $100,000, according to the chart that you received. So therefore, they have spent
Mhm.
over multiple times of 100,000. The only thing is, we see a picture of a foundation versus a finished building, and do we care?
How far along a
100,000 was towards.
Towards the whole project, I agree with you.
Mhm.
I agree with you.
If we wanted to specify, we want our 100,000 be spent on a certain,
Aspect.
then that's
Windows.
a different discussion. But otherwise.
Put it in the windows and sitting on the ground.
otherwise it's all-
Of
it's all
roof.
part of.
Yeah,
I'm-
I'm
I'm-
not concerned.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but I was interrupted and I just
I'm
want to
sorry.
finish what I
Yeah.
was saying, please.
Yes.
That I realize it's not a deposit, but I'm just explaining to you how Mass General Law works for us, okay? What I was going to say is that this project is very important. Housing is very important. I am not worried about us losing this money. And the other thing that is very important is that, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but Stacy has really been working hard for this committee. And I know that she's put in a lot of time with this developer, contractor, whatever we want to call this project. And when we've done these projects in the past, where we've paid a large sum at the end, as we've always said we were going to do, I only request the article passed at town meeting for the project to pay that bill. Stacy has gone the extra step and actually has gotten invoices. They all have proved to me that they have done this work. And I am comfortable paying this bill. I really am. And I want you to know that. And I appreciate everything that Stacy did to do all that, because she really went up and beyond what she needed to. So I would like to ask if you would be willing to let me go ahead and pay this. And if in the future we want to, like we talked about last time, Dan mentioned waiting for the OC before you
Occupant.
CO.
issue, sorry, CO before we issue the money, that's fine too. But I think that we should put that into the conditions. But the other thing, that I do appreciate what Stacy's done, but it's also very important to me as the town accountant and for Jackie Beebe to keep our vendors happy. And I really don't want Stacy to say, hey, sorry, we've done all this, but you're going to have to wait. I just think that reflects poorly on us.
Your point's
I,
well,
I agree. Thank you, Tina.
and I'm really not worried, candidly.
But I
Project
know,
will get done.
in the past years, I was worried because, they were kind of scattered, and we always had struggle with housing, but now we're at a totally different level. And I really feel like we need to do everything we can to get those places up and get people in them.
Available.
Yeah, the only regret I have, it's not occurring in Eastham.
True.
That's the only regret.
True.
And it is needed, and we need
Coulda,
it.
woulda, shoulda.
One question though, I was thinking about this, and I don't know if y'all have the answer or if anyone does, but I was thinking about these 100,000 coming in and ones we paid in the past. And I thought, I wonder if that number is going to increase the amount that they come in and ask for, or is this 100,000 somehow created by a code or a regulation that they
Yeah.
have to go
I
through?
don't think it is. I think somebody started it.
Yeah,
And it's.
And they just go to every town and
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
100,000?
I think that's it. They're just asking every town to put in a portion of it, indicating that
Started with
folks
100 and it's.
Yeah, that's
would be
right.
eligible to apply.
Kind of landed on 100 figure and then,
Well, if that figure grows, I think we may need to think about that.
yeah, we
I
could
mean,
always
if
say,
another
Yeah. If
will
it's,
come in
and
and,
they want 300,000 or 500,000, I'm not so sure about giving that to them right off the bat.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So I
yeah,
think,
Yeah,
like I said, everything's a judgment call and not every project is the same. Not every invoice is the same, and we have to look at it individual. But we do have laws that we have to follow. But you have your town accountant that comes to these meetings, and she's the one that can approve it
mhm.
and put it through. So I'm asking you what you would like me to do.
Oh, pay them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Pay the
suggesting we
invoice.
don't pay it.
But I mean, go ahead and pay it now.
Oh, absolutely.
We're gonna do
That wasn't the purpose of the discussion, candidly. We're going to pay it and we are committed to do it.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
And I don't think anybody's at fault here. It's just a matter of discussion as to how comfortable we feel. that's all.
Mhm.
And I hope, and I really hope, we have a project in Eastham coming in at some point. Because I'm
Well, you do.
very happy to fund an Eastham project.
Yes.
More than 100,000.
You got the town one on Massasoit that they haven't finished yet. It's coming in next meeting.
That's, well, we won't discuss that right now. Yeah, and I think the other thing is that when we, as we were saying, we're, so many of the ones, they seem to be all coming in at 100,000. I mean, it's 100,000 Cole Road, 100,000, not Cole Road, Cole, on East Orleans, 100,000 Cape Cod 5, 100,000 in Brewster, 100,000 for Nauset Green. They're all 100,000.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
You can increase it when we're gonna do one.
Yeah.
But I'm just
And we can
curious
ask
if
them
that,
for it.
those amounts will increase as
Oh, I
our housing problem continues.
Continue,
question about
yeah, yeah.
And if it does, are we gonna want to have the same?
Well, I think that,
Idea.
when it's an out of town project, we're gonna have to really look at it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Tina, what has the increase or change in annual CPA funds been over the last couple of years? Up, down, neutral, what?
Up, but not by a great amount. It constantly grows.
Because of price increases.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that we should probably just make sure that when we work on our conditions, that we make sure that we've got the proper verbiage in there for the types of things we're talking about here.
Yes.
I've got a message to myself. Okay, I'm going to look on the cash balance, the CPA's cash balance worksheet that Tina prepares for us. And I don't have much to say about that. Just I can see that the real estate taxes of 515 are shown, but that our taxes were due on November 1st, so that should, I'm assuming will increase if for people that didn't pay until November 1st. That those numbers, monies wouldn't be in that 515, but so actually, I think I would think I think a lot of people wait until November 1st to pay. I mean, I was in here paying my own and there were all sorts of people in here paying theirs, so that will probably increase. And we show on here the 40,000 for the transfer of the general fund for Stacy. And just so before we leave this page, under the revenues, the state reimbursement, we have received information from the state. It was after this date. That's 261 for our match. So that will be shown in next month's cash balance. Are there any questions on the cash balance worksheet that Tina prepares for us? Okay. I'm looking at the agenda, the final reports. We still don't have one from Jackie on Town Hall, right? Yeah. So we need to, we need, yeah, I'm sure you have.
Probably more than once.
We also received one from the, let me see, from the Lower Cape. And I have some questions on that. The one that we received is from the Lower Cape. It has a funding amount of 10,000, but that's for this current year. And the amount that was spent was 7,005. That was the amount that was agreed to not this past May, but a year ago. So this is not correct. So the CDP needs to redo the final report for the year.
The final or
Lower Cape Housing Institute.
last year was $10,000.
It's this current year. The year
Previous year was
7,005.
Okay,
So
And that's what we're showing on our worksheet as being spent.
okay.
But the final report that they submitted is showing $10,000, which can't be correct.
Okay.
So it needs to be corrected. And to be quite honest with you, I know the original,
FY25
Mhm.
was for this year.
Mhm.
Basically, last year, this year, we gave them 10,000.
the amount that we approved last May was for 10,000 for
Right.
fiscal year 25,
Is,
is for the year before, fiscal year 24.
right, that was the 75.
Right. And this is not showing 10,000.
I'll talk
Right.
to Amanda.
So we need,
We need,
we need another report for
correct.
what's going on.
So we need a 7,500, then we need a 10,000.
if they've spent the 10,000,
They-
because I'm just
They
saying,
take it yet?
we're not showing that the 10,000 has been spent.
But we still got the 10,000.
The 10,000 is still outstanding.
Okay.
So. And just between me and me, I'm really a little annoyed at the budget that it's just their budget for the entire program, not program, but for the Housing Institute, and I don't know, it doesn't show exactly what they spent, the monies that they received. I mean, they didn't, I don't know, it's
a weird budget.
it's
that
very
they-
weird.
that
It's,
they submit.
I mean, I would like to see if we gave them 7,500, I would like to see what monies they received from all the other towns and any monies that they received from the license plates and any monies that they might have put in from their own budget. And then I want to see what they spent it on, the salaries, the speakers, food, whatever documents,
Yeah.
all that
they
stuff
just
and-
give what our portion.
right, and this is, I'm just annoyed. I'm speaking out at my annoyance.
Duly
Okay.
noted.
Be in the minutes.
Barry Shaw was annoyed. That's quite okay.
Double exclamation.
Twice I was annoyed. Yeah, okay.
So duly noted again.
That's fine. Okay, so I'm down looking at the agenda. Is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about under item number 4, the financial information?
As always, I think we've had great information from our people that are working on financial information.
Yeah,
So I think I sent out, maybe I didn't, the final reports for Finch Skate Park.
Yeah, it came late. It just
Right.
came later.
yeah, you
today.
sent it something out today and I
Okay, so
have
you wanna
been,
put those off.
yeah,
till
because
next-
I haven't, I mean, I just saw it after I
Okay,
got here and
okay,
I was out of my house
Okay, all right.
when
I'll
you
put them
sent
on for
it,
next
so,
week.
yeah.
Good.
That's the $600 or, oh, they spent it all.
They spent it all, yeah.
They spent it all.
And I have
There
the
was-
final report for Penrose.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
I'll put those up.
Okay, so that's the West Street, so that's the 100,000.
Mhm.
Okay, so those can go on for the agenda for next week, next meeting. Okay, I'm down to item number 5 on the other business. And I have spoken in the past about the 3% surcharge and doing something similar to what Brewster did as far as not charging the 3% for the folks that meet the requirements as outlined in the warrant article for them, but, and I'm not gonna read it all again, but, because I've read it before. I've spoken to Rich, regarding the amount of money that he feels we would not be receiving if we put this warrant article into place. The next time the select board meets to discuss the RTE, the residential tax exemption, will be January. I thought that we should discuss this and vote on it if we're going to do something like this before their meeting in January, since we don't meet again until January. And so I didn't know whether anybody had any questions on it again, but we did not vote on it in the past, and I would like to recommend that if we're going to recommend it, that we do vote on it before the select board meets in January. The amount that Rich has given me, based on the work done by the assessing department, was $12,000. That's the amount that they have come up with would be not paid by the people that would meet the requirements under this article. Now, that would also reduce the matching amount. In other words, our matching funds are based on the amount of money that we raise. And so if we raise 12,000 less, then the matching funds would probably be a little bit less. That 12,000, I mean, we raise, I mean, our taxes are a little over $1 million right now. It's $1.2 million, so to speak, for this coming year. So before I ask for a motion, I didn't know whether anybody had any other questions, since we've discussed it a little bit before.
I think that the town of Eastham isn't as inexpensive as it used to be. We used to talk about an assessed value, average assessed value of a home at 400,000. Probably it's more like 800,000.
That's right.
We used to talk about a tax bill that was relatively low, and it isn't as low as it used to be. So I am sensitive to the fact that there may be people in town who really would appreciate some relief. And I think $12,000 off an annual budget of millions is really not significant enough to worry about. That's my own personal opinion.
And
It also shows a good faith thing on our part.
exactly.
Trying to help people out. I mean, no.
Yeah. I know with the tax aid committee, we could not give any assistance for a year because there was not enough funding. There was not enough contributed. So it would be nice if we could do something every year in addition to anything that's contributed through the tax aid committee.
Would this have to come up every year?
I mean,
If we put it in place, wouldn't it?
If we
Would have to apply
pass
every
the
year.
3%.
Joanna said, what?
Oh, sorry, Joanna.
They would have to apply for it each year.
but we.
Right,
wouldn't
but we
to
wouldn't
vote.
have to approve it every year, will we?
Yes, if they meet the requirement, yes.
So to be an article every year.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
no, no, no.
No, not-
No, they would have to apply and be approved every
Right,
year. The
but-
people.
The
But once
people-
the
people that-
article is passed,
But once the program's in place after town meeting, it doesn't have to go to town meeting again.
No.
Right.
The individual would have to apply it.
Right.
That's fine.
Everyone will still have, I mean, they will still vote on the residential tax exemption and do
That's
all
done
their
every year.
January stuff, but
Right.
this won't be part of that.
part
every
of
year.
that.
Be separate.
And I like what you said, Ed. I'm all for trying to do what we can. I don't think 12,000 is a lot of money, given our budget. I also think that the cost of housing is, and therefore the taxes on it is higher and higher and higher. And I would like to say that I think we would all like to have a diverse community in town. And I think that this helps a little. And it shows, as you said, I like
Shows
your,
good faith.
yeah, yes, I like your comment on that. Is there any other question or comment? Do I have a motion to, how do I phrase this?
I would think
to
it'd be a
re-
motion
to
to
recommend and,
to the Board of Selectmen.
yep, yep.
The. I don't know what- I don't
How-
call it.
I'm just trying to think what,
The possible exemption for residents who qualify from the 3%
surcharge,
surcharge,
3%
annual surcharge.
surcharge, annual surcharge.
Tax surcharge. When we say annual tax surcharge. Is that
I-
good?
I'm open to questions
that's
or
enough.
comments or thoughts on the verbiage for
They're
this.
aware of this, right? We don't have to explain it any more than that.
When you say they,
Board of Selectmen?
You
Select board.
say recommend that the select board implement
Mm.
an exemption for
To the 3%
3%
surcharge.
for,
I'm looking to see what Brewster did.
It has to go on the warrant, right, Paul?
Yes, this will have to go on the warrant.
So we would recommend that the select board draft a warrant article for exemption from the CPA 3% to residents in need.
I think that sounds good because I have a feeling they'll have the lawyers look it over.
Yeah,
anyway
yeah.
For the correct one.
Can you repeat that, please?
No. Make a motion that we recommend that the select board draft for the warrant a
An article,
Resolution.
an article?
a warrant article that residents who can be exempt from this 3% CPA surcharge with the right qualifications. Again, that, yeah, residents, eligible residents to claim exemption from the CPA surcharge. Stacy, you can word that, right?
what is,
Thank you.
would just take a vote that this committee recommends that the
Select board.
implement
Hey.
an exemption to the 3% surcharge.
For,
And that way the select board has, because whether it has to go to town meeting, it probably does, but
Mhm.
all that gets sorted out.
mhm.
This is just the recommendation.
From the
Maybe that
CPA
select board should
committee
implement
to
this.
the select board.
And I don't know, I mean, there might be 20 different ways they could implement it,
Mhm,
but then they can figure out.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
What he said.
We'll
Okay,
take Paul's word.
yeah. Yeah, I'll let you.
The tape, I have.
Okay,
That's right, we have the tape, that's right, yeah, okay,
all right.
okay,
So moved.
okay. Wait a minute, let me just see here. So Dan is.
I moved it.
Let me see, where did I put this in my, up here. Okay, Dan, I'm moving, it.
Seconded.
Elaine
seconded.
is seconding it. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Elaine, Dave, Janet, Eileen, Joanna, Ed, me,
Right.
8-0.
0.
8-0. 12-4-24. Okay. All righty. Thank you, everybody.
For everybody's
Thank you.
information before it closes, light the night, Saturday night on Windmill Green from 4 to 5.
Carol's.
Carols and hot chocolate and cookies.
Mhm. Is your wife making all the cookies?
No, actually, they bought the cookies. They haven't donated. Stop Shopping Shaw's donated.
Okay, our next meeting is for January 8th, Wednesday, 5 o'clock. We have 3 more projects to discuss. It's the Housing Institute, it's the Massasoit Road, and it's the autism.
I'm not sure if Massasoit will be ready for January. I might have to put them out to February.
Oh.
Well, we're really waiting to get as much information on the bid results, but I think my preference would be if we could discuss it in February.
Okay.
You're talking about just Massasoit.
Massasoit.
Okay.
So
We
next,
may not have the bid documents back by then,
mhm,
but if we do, great. If not, then, you know, at that point, we gotta talk about the project either way, but,
Mhm.
Fair enough.
and also by that point, we'll have plans to share, you know, renderings. and things.
I'm just looking to
Yeah.
see our
Oh,
calendar.
So let's see, is there anybody that was planning to be February that needs to be moved up to January? I think not.
No,
No.
No, it's
I think
only
we're all
3
done.
left.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Housing Institute will be here in January and, forward,
Yeah, yeah,
the autistic housing.
yeah, autistic housing. So it would be those two housing, and then we would be doing, hopefully, excuse me, Massasoit at the following,
February.
would be February.
Okay.
Okay. So we will not need the meeting,
No,
for 12,
I'll take
18.
that off the calendar.
Yeah, okay. Very good. All righty. Anything else that anybody needs to bring up? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Dave,
Starting to have fun.
Dave and Ed? Did you,
Everybody.
everybody?
I
All in favor of adjourning? 8-0.
I'll go along with it.
8-0. I have, 6:40.